I saved enough money to quit working at 34 years old. I was able to do this by being super intentional about how I spent my money and what I spent my money on. Today, I'm going to talk about 12 things that I no longer spend my money on. The first thing is makeup and skincare. Now I'm 38 going on 39, and I've learned over the years what works for my skin in terms of skincare and what makeup products I tend to use on a daily basis. For skincare, I'm super simple. I've learned that I don't need to overcomplicate things and I can still have my skin looking good. I use a face wash, the same one that I've used for probably close to 10 years now. I use moisturizer, also one that I've used for 10 years, and sunscreen along with a daily exfoliating pad. These 4 products I use day in and day out, and honestly, that works for me. In terms of makeup, I also use the same 5 products on a daily basis. I use concealer, I use a powder, a blush, mascara, eyebrows. It takes me 5 minutes to do everything, and I'm happy with the way that I look. Now, I used to watch YouTube videos and think that I needed all these really cool makeup products. I would buy them and then they would just sit there and collect dust. I thought I would want to wear these makeup products, and I love the idea of being a makeup collector, but when it came down to it, I'm a simple person when it comes to makeup and skincare, and this is what works for me. Now it's nice to know that I really don't need anything outside of these small amount of products. The second thing that I don't spend money on are manicures. I can't tell you the last time that I got a manicure. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my nails being bare 90% of the time. I used to get gel way back in the day, and I noticed that my nails would become super brittle whenever I took the gel off. Not to mention, as the days of the manicure wore on, the nails started to lift and get stuck in my hair, and it just used to bug the heck out of me. Also, when I didn't get gel and my manicure would already start peeling within a day or two, I would just think to myself, wow, that was a waste of money. So I no longer get manicures. The other thing that goes along with this that I no longer spend money on is nail polish. Now, I have a collection of nail polish in my drawer, but I literally maybe use it once a year. I just don't enjoy painting my nails. I like the way they look, but not enough to actually spend the time to do it. So if I do want to get my nails done once a year, that's totally fine, but it's really not something that I spend my money on or choose to prioritize. Now, the fourth thing I don't spend money on anymore are high heels. I am all about comfort over fashion. I love how women look with high heels, but honestly, it's not worth the pain and discomfort to me. I have 1 pair of nude heels, 1 pair of black heels, and if the occasion arises, I wear one of those, but I always make sure to bring a backup pair of flats, and within a couple hours, I'm sure to change into those. So heels, I have a couple, but I don't spend any more money on them. The 5th thing I no longer spend money on is fast fashion. Now, not only is fast fashion super bad for the environment and most likely unfair to the people who produce them, but they just don't last as long as quality clothes that you will spend a little more money on. Honestly, I haven't bought new clothes in quite some time because I'm happy with the clothes that I have. But when I do buy a piece of new clothes, I make sure that it's natural fibers, that it's high quality, and that it's something that I'm going to wear and that I need. Now, I used to be super into trends and buying pieces that I would wear maybe once or twice, but I realized that not only was it wasting money, but it was also harmful to the environment. I'd rather spend more money on pieces that I wear over and over. For example, this shirt, I have like 3 or 4 different colors of this same shirt, and I wear it multiple times a week. I really don't care if people say, oh, she wears the same type of shirt over and over. It's kind of like my uniform, and it's easy. I just button it up and down, I throw it in the washer, I throw it in the dryer, and it's super easy. So I'd rather spend my money on clothes that work with my lifestyle. The sixth thing I no longer spend money on is books and audiobooks. Now, I used to go to bookstores, see a book, and be super excited about reading it right that second. So I would buy it, I would come home, and it would just sit on my shelf for months. So now I use Libby, which is one of the best apps that I have on my phone, and I use that to rent out books from the library that I then transfer to my Kindle, or audiobooks that you can rent as well. So I no longer spend money on physical books or my Audible subscription. The seventh thing that I no longer spend money on is eyebrow maintenance. Now, I used to get my eyebrows threaded on a monthly basis since I was in high school. But a few years ago, I just got tired of going to the eyebrow threading salon, telling them to please keep my eyebrows as thick as possible, and then leaving almost in tears because my eyebrows came out super thin and just not the way I liked. So instead of getting frustrated every single time, I decided, you know what, let me take a few months to grow out my eyebrows and let me just do some light maintenance myself. I've been doing that for years now and have never looked back, and honestly, I like the look of my natural brows. They might not be as perfect as they were before when I still used to go to the threading salon, but now I can keep them how I like them and not be scared that someone's gonna rip my eyebrows out. The eighth thing that I used to spend money on that I no longer spend money on are candles. Now, I used to love me a Bath & Body Works scented candle. Leaves was my favorite, all the holiday scents were my favorite, and I would just burn them 24/7 until, you know, sometimes ignorance is bliss. And I suddenly found out that these scents were actually toxic for you. And I tried to live my life in a pretty non-toxic way. So I decided once and for all to just quit candles. So I stopped buying them. And even the ones that are advertised as somewhat clean, like the soy ones, are still a little bit toxic, to be honest. So I just choose not to buy candles anymore. The ninth thing I no longer spend money on is seasonal decor. Now, I love the idea of decorating for each season, especially the fall and holiday seasons, but I've learned to be really satisfied with what I have. Every single year, I take out what I have and I use it, and because I haven't used it in a year, it still feels brand new. I see things at the stores and I think to myself, oh, that would be super cute, but it just adds to the clutter. And in my house, I don't have a ton of storage, so I'd rather use what I have and not have to buy seasonal decor that is new every single year. Now, the one exception I will make is when we take travels as a family, we do sometimes buy ornaments, and those are small and they're sentimental because when we see those ornaments on the tree, it reminds us of the memories of that trip. So I do love getting ornaments. That's one exception I will make for seasonal decor. The 10th thing that I no longer spend money on is notebooks and stationery. Now, I love notebooks, I love stationery, I love pens, and I could buy it over and over and over, but I just, you know, kind of came to the conclusion that I can only use one notebook at a time. Even when I would buy a notebook and I would say, oh, I'm going to start journaling, I love the idea of it, but I never did it. So now I just keep the stash that I have, and I've said to myself, until I get through all of these notebooks that I've purchased in the past, I am not going to buy any more. I have endless supply of stationery and notebooks. 11th thing that I no longer spend money on is mugs. Once again, I used to collect mugs because I just like the different shapes, I like the different designs, and I used to think that having a bunch of different mugs would just give me different options. But the truth is, I use the same maybe 2-3 mugs every single time I use mugs. I have my favorites and the rest of them just kind of sit there. So I thought to myself, I need to put a stop to buying mugs. So I don't anymore. The 11th thing that I no longer spend my money on are mugs. Now, I used to collect mugs. I love the different designs, the different colorways, the different styles, but I found myself using the same 2 to 3 mugs over and over. And so I thought to myself, what are all these other mugs doing here? They're just kind of collecting dust. So that is something I no longer purchase more of. I just use and enjoy the ones that I have. And the last thing, number 12, what I no longer spend money on are expensive greeting cards. Now, I don't know about you, but when I get a card, I read it, I really appreciate it, but then it ends up in the trash. And sometimes I do keep them, but do I really look at them all that often? No. So I thought to myself, when I'm sending a card to someone else, honestly, that's probably what ends up happening too. They just end up in the trash if they even get read at all. So now if it's someone's birthday, if it's a special occasion, I still give them a card, but I don't spend the $5 to $6 on it that I used to. I go to Trader Joe's, I go to the Dollar Tree, and I spend no more than $1 on each card. It's still the same sentiment, it's still the same written message inside, but now if they throw it away, I'm not beating myself up about the fact that they threw away a $6 card. Now, these are the 12 things that I no longer spend money on, and you might want to spend money on these things, and that's totally okay. Everybody's financial life looks different. We all enjoy different things. We all choose to spend our money on different things. I encourage you to look at your expenses and think to yourself, what is it that builds my rich life? If it's something that you don't really care about, just exit out. Don't spend money on that, and instead save that money or allocate that money to things that you truly do care about. That's what I did. I no longer spend money on these 12 things, and it will continue to evolve. Maybe in the future I will spend money on these things, and I'll continue to evaluate what I no longer want to spend money on.